Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Afterthought, where we talk all things mental health and real life. My name is Roxanne Francis, and I am the face behind Francis Psychotherapy, where we help people and organizations find solutions to mental health issues. Now, tonight on Afterthought, we are talking about the 7 life lessons that I learned from event planning. What event, would you ask? Well, this past Saturday, I had the amazing pleasure of hosting the very first therapist lounge held in the general Toronto area. And this was a networking event. It was a high tea networking event for all therapists, for them to come and network and connect and find community and support each other. Because throughout this entire pandemic for 19 months and counting, most of us as therapists have been working in front of their computer, in the 4 walls of, probably a home office, and have not had the opportunity to connect with people. So this was an opportunity for us to do that. Hey Natalie, how you doing? We are talking about the 7 things that I learned from planning events, and I know that you plan events and you've got them hands down. You know how to make a room pretty. You know how to set an agenda. You know how to, like, you can plan a party like that. Me, on the other hand, that is not my zone of genius. So it was a little bit, you know, daunting for me to venture out into this space. But let me turn this music down and then we can get into what it was like for me to plan that. So, all right. I had this idea about getting therapists together because I knew what I was feeling. I knew that it was not necessarily hard for me, but I knew that I missed my people. I missed connecting with people. I missed seeing people. I missed talking to people face to face about cases. And it was weighing on me. Sort of, annoying just having to be at home all the time. And mind you, I loved the fact, and I was very, very grateful for the fact that I was still able to do this work. Very, very grateful for the fact that I still had clients, that I still had the opportunity to earn an income. But it was challenging just doing it alone. So I thought, hey, since it's the tail end of summer, restrictions are lifted slightly. Let's see if we can get some people together before something happens again and they shut us down all again, right? So I thought, let me see if I can do this thing. Now, I had not planned an event for, I want to say maybe something like 20 years. The last time I planned an event, I was very, very young, and I was planning an office Christmas party. So I haven't planned a real event in a really, really long time. Besides children's birthday parties, I hadn't. So, lesson number 1 that I learned from planning this event is don't tell everyone your dream. Don't tell everybody what your plans are. I saw a meme one time on somewhere on social media that said, not everyone is going to understand uh, the call that God has given you because it wasn't a conference call. Hey, everybody. Hey, Happy People Classes and LJN. Thanks for coming through. Yes, Natalie, that's a long time. It's been a long time. Hey, come on in, everybody. Hey, Chantal. It's been a long time since I planned an event. Something like 20 years, right? And besides planning kids' birthday parties, it's not something that I usually do. This is not my zone of genius. But, you know, um, it's interesting. Hey, Asana. It's interesting when you have an idea. If you tell everybody that idea and they don't see the vision, they don't understand why you're doing it, then it's easy for them to say to you, don't do that, right? Natalie says, very true, and too many people have things to add to your dream. Exactly, exactly. I had an idea of how I wanted it to flow. And I wanted it to flow before winter. Actually, as a matter of fact, I wanted to do it outdoors, but there just wasn't enough time for me to market this thing and to get everybody on board while it was still warm enough to have it outside. And it's a good thing I had it inside too, because it ended up being a bit of a rainy day. That being said, I told a couple people about what I wanted to accomplish, and at least 2 people said to me, you can't do that, shut her down, forget it, it's not going to make any sense. And I thought to myself, man, it kind of bummed me out a little bit. And then one more person that I had told about this, she spoke into my life and she said, Roxanne, it may not be the huge thing that you want it to be, because I wanted it to be huge, right? I'm here pretending like we're not in a pandemic. She said, why don't you just scale it back? Make it smaller, make it more intimate, and still do the thing that you want to do. And so I thought about that. And so I decided to do that. I decided to scale back. So I have some bigger plans that I hope to put into place for next time, because there will definitely be a next time. But lesson number one is, don't tell everybody your dream, because not everyone is going to understand. Some people are going to tell you that you have no sense. Some people are going to tell you that it's impossible. Some people are going to tell you to stay in your lane. I'll get to that in a minute. But you can't tell everybody. You need to nurture that thing, that dream, that goal, that vision that you have inside of you, and try to see it through. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two, and Asana, if you're still on here, you know a thing or two about event planning, because you do this every year for Mom Fest. I do not have your skill. I do not have your talent. I don't know how you guys put it together. But here I was struggling with my first little event baby, right? And so just sort of learning and taking notes for next time. So lesson number two, always let your inner compass guide you. You know, I hear people say things like, I don't know what to do, or I'm not sure if I should, or I get confused. I posted, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that the best piece of advice that anyone's ever given me over the course of my career is always let your inner compass guide you. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bozoma St. John. She is the chief marketing officer for Netflix. And she's had some very high profile jobs over the years. She's worked at Pepsi, she's worked at Uber, and now she's at Netflix. Hey, Colleen. And she has some master classes that I've attended. And one of the things that I remember she said was, she doesn't write pros and cons lists. You know, when you try to make a decision and you write a list of pros and then you write a list of cons, you know, reasons for this thing and reasons against this thing. And she said, I don't write a list of pros and cons because I already know what I want to do. And I feel like if I write a list of pros and cons, then it's just me trying to talk myself out of that thing that I want to do. And she said, if you pay attention to yourself, if you sit back, if you get really quiet, if you get really still and listen to yourself, you know exactly what the answer is. And when my former mentor had said to me, let your inner compass guide you, it was a time when I was trying to figure out whether or not I should launch into my private practice full time. And I knew exactly what it was that I wanted to do, but I was so scared that it made me feel like I'm not sure what I should do, right? I knew exactly what it was that I wanted to do. And when she said to me, let your inner compass direct you, listen to it, let it guide you, I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Still scared, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And so with this event, I was really scared. I was like, what if nobody comes? What if, there's some kind of crisis? What if I make a mistake? What if nobody wants to hear what I have to say? All of these what ifs. I kept telling myself, Roxanne, you're not an event planner. You don't know what you're doing. Leave that to the people at Mom Fest. Leave that to people like Colleen. Leave that to people like Natalie. And they know exactly what they're doing and you don't know what you're doing, so don't. But that inner compass said to me, therapists need community. Therapists are lonely. They need to see each other. They need to laugh but together. They need to network with each other and get support. And I didn't see anything like that happening in the general Toronto area. And I thought, I'm the one with this idea and I feel like I should run with it. And so I decided to let my inner compass guide me, and all of the little doubts in my mind, I kind of just tried to shoo them away as best as I can. So that's lesson number 2. Always let your inner compass guide you because it will never steer you wrong. Third, always ask for help. Now, I sometimes struggle with that, and I know a lot of women struggle with that. We feel like we should just be able to do it all, right? But what I've noticed, because I sit back and I pay attention to people who are doing things well, and what I've noticed with the people who are doing events well is that they do not do it by themselves. They either have a team or they have people around them, or they ask people for favors, and they just do, they do the thing by asking people to help them, and they delegate, right? Initially, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it all by myself. And I sat down and I was talking to my partner, and he was saying to me, how are you going to do all of that by yourself? Do you have sponsors? And I was like, sponsors? Keep in mind, this is from the woman who does not do events, right? I'm like, nobody's just going to give me stuff. Nobody's just going to donate to this thing. And he's like, you need to ask all the other people. And I started looking at other people who do events, right? And I got to notice things like sponsored by such and such company, or brought to you by this and this and that company. And I got to realize, oh, so these companies are sewing into these events for the well, some of them just for the sake of benevolence, but some of them for the opportunity to get their business before other, different audiences, right? And I thought that's a really, really great idea. So I started, I crafted a beautiful letter, and I sent it out to a couple of organizations and people that I generally do business with as a business owner. That's felt interesting saying that, as a business owner. Anyway, as a business owner, I patronize. I do business with other companies and entrepreneurs, and so because I purchase from them fairly regularly, I decided to reach out to them, and they were very, very gracious. Some of them offered, to sponsor the swag bag. Some of them sponsored monetarily, right? I had a bit of an agreement with the location, and so not everybody that I asked said yes, but a number of people that I asked said yes. And so, as my coach would say, you kind of have to cast your net very wide, because you're not going to get everything that you want. Not everybody that you reach out to is going to respond. So you need to reach out to a lot of people, right? And so I did, and I got a handful of responses, and those responses were enough to help me put on this event. And I reached out to other people who have put on events in the past that I know personally, and I asked them, so how did you do this? And how did you do that? Hey, Wendy. Yes, Asana, I casted a wide net. And so, where was I? People who I know who've put on events, people that I know personally, I call them up and I'm like, so when you did that thing in the summer, did you pay all the money all at once, all one time, or did you, put it down? But like, listen, I knew nothing, right? Asking all these questions that I thought were silly questions, but people were so gracious enough to answer my questions. There was one friend that I was texting all the time. At one time, I'm like, this is the last question I'm asking you, I promise. But she was really, really lovely. When I reached out to Colleen and I said I had this idea, she's like, so here's what you need to consider. Consider this and consider that and consider this and consider that. And I was so grateful for people who were just gracious and generous with their time and with their advice. So, when you are doing something like this, or doing anything in life that is bigger than something that you would usually do, always ask for help. Maybe the answer will be no, but if the answer is no, you're no worse off than when you started. But guess what? The answer could be yes. And if you don't ask, you will never know, right? I have an assistant that I work with, and generally she works with me Monday to Friday. And I asked her, I said, would you consider coming with me on the Saturday to this event? And she said yes. And it just made a world of difference, right? I don't know anything about makeup. I know how to put on a little lipstick for lives, but I don't really do makeup and stuff. And I could not find a makeup artist. And so I reached out to a friend of mine, and she said, here is a person that I use. She's amazing. And so I reached out and just ask, right? Ask for help. You'll find that people are often quite willing to offer you some support. Okay. Next thing is, it's okay to stray from your lane a little bit. In this world, in this entrepreneurship journey that I've ventured out onto, I've heard a lot of people say, stay in your lane, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. There is a video or a meme from the actor Idris Elba, who I have a very small crush on. He says, people tell him all the time to stay in your lane. And he says, stay in my lane for what? Right? And, you know, I'm a therapist. I know that that's my lane. And I'm not trying to become an accountant overnight because I'm horrible at math, right? But if I decided only to stay in my lane, then I would have said, I can't plan an event. I'm not doing that. Oh, that's a lovely idea, Roxanne, but you're not an event planner. Forget it. I don't have to be an event planner. But see, the thing is, I'm planning an event for therapists. So it's kind of my lane a little bit, right? I stretched myself. I stepped out of my lane a little bit. I did things that I wasn't used to doing, right? I went out and I did a site visit. I've never done that before. I asked for sponsorship. I've never done that before. You know, I packed gift bags. That's not something that I normally do. And so it was a bit of staying out of my lane. And it scared me. It scared me. It scared me. It scared me. Again, I kept saying, it's a pandemic. What if people don't show up? I reached out to the venue and the venue said everyone has to be vaccinated. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's going to eliminate a number of people because not everybody's vaccinated. And that's fine. You know, it's a choice. And I understand that. And I have nothing against anyone who chose not to because it's a personal health choice that people have to make. But it made me think that reduces the number of people who can come, right? I reached out to a friend and I said, here's the thing, I would love it if you would come. And she said, oh, I can't come. I worship on a Saturday. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Still people who cannot come. And I just wasn't sure. It scared me. Here's the thing. Do not be afraid to step outside of your lane a little bit and do the things that scare you, right? Do the things that scare you. Because if they don't scare you, then that dream, that thing, that vision that you have, it's not big enough. It's not worthwhile. If you can do absolutely everything, you know, with one hand tied behind your back with your eyes shut, then it's just not, it's not big enough. It's not, the vision isn't large enough. The vision isn't grand enough. And you can't grow from that, right? You can't stretch yourself. This thing stretched me, right? As it may not have been a massive conference room, right? But it did stretch me because I spend every day sitting in front of my computer, working with clients, helping them with trauma, anxiety, depression. That is what I know how to do. That is what I can manage. But I thought, you know, this thing is going to have me step out. And I'm so glad that I did. Yes, Tamara from H Associates here on Instagram. Henningham and Associates. She is an amazing therapist in the GTA and she is planning a couples retreat. So quick plug for Tamara. If you know someone who would like to establish a stronger connection in their relationship, you have them hit up Tamara. She is planning an amazing retreat and it's going to be fantastic. I think it's only a handful of couples. It's going to be in a gorgeous setting. Reach out to Tamara, get yourself booked on that retreat. She knows what she's doing. She's going to help you guys find deeper connection. So I got you. All right. So next thing, do the thing that scares you, and it's okay to stray outside of your lane a little bit. All right. The number 5. So where are we? Number 5 is be yourself. Let me tell you something. You're welcome, Tamara. I don't know if Colleen is on here still. But I have a great colleague in the community. Her name is Colleen Blake Miller. She's a fantastic therapist. She sees individuals, couples, and families. And she has these wonderful clips and videos that she posts on Instagram. And Colleen has been doing this work for longer than I have. As a matter of fact, I think I was in graduate school when Colleen was hosting an event. And always be yourself. That's a screensaver on my phone. I love that, Asana. I love that. Colleen was hosting a conference for women. And I went with a friend of mine who was going to be a speaker at that conference. And I just saw Colleen just command the room. She spoke about her experiences. She spoke about, yes, her videos are wonderful, Tamara. She spoke about her experiences. She spoke about her family. She spoke about her children. Her little boys were like toddlers at the time. Now they're almost teenagers. And I remember just watching her and thinking, oh my goodness, I will never be able to pull off anything like that. I can never be like her. And I remember watching, other people that she had asked to come and speak, and they were addressing the room, and I was just in awe of everything that she was doing. And we were sort of distant friends at that time. But over the years have brought us closer, and now we're pretty good friends. And, I was having a chat with Colleen at the end of the day on Saturday because she was at the event. And I was talking to her about how I've admired every time she's put on a conference and how she does it so flawlessly. And she said to me, girl, that first conference, I was so nervous. I was shaking. I had a hard time just pulling myself together just to utter the words with the microphone in my hand. And I was like, you? And she said, yes. And here's the thing. I was psyching myself up while I was planning for this thing, thinking to myself, okay, I can't do this like Colleen. I can't do this like so-and-so. I've never put on an event before. Yes, and the interesting thing is that I am a speaker. I teach at conferences. I teach at workshops, and I speak outside of doing individual therapy. I speak to people on a daily basis, very regularly. And here I am thinking, oh my goodness, how is this going to work out? These people are going to think I'm crazy. I'm not going to have anything to say. I was psyching myself out. And then I just had to give my head a shake and think, Roxanne, you can do this. At one point, I was even thinking, who can I get to address these people, these therapists that are coming into the event? Who can I get to come in and talk to them? And I think it was my husband who said to me, Roxanne, you talk to them. They're coming to actually see you. You know why you're putting this on. You know why you think you and the other therapists need this. So go ahead and talk about that. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I can't be like so-and-so. I'm not, my speech isn't as clipped as some other eloquent speakers out there. My speech is full of you knows and oh my goodness. And, I drop pop culture references, and I use colloquial terms, and I'm very different, but I'm very me. And I think that's one of the things that had this, yes, Tamara, big up the husband. It's one of the things that I think allowed this event to be a success, because I was just me. I was high-fiving people and drinking mimosas and pointing out people's shoes and just having a grand old time. I guess I kind of forgot sometimes that I was a host, because I was just mingling with other people and laughing, and I was just me. And I think that's exactly what people needed. Hey, Nicole. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you for that. Natalie's saying that, and that's what we love about you. Yeah, I just had this thing in my head at the beginning, at the outset, that I needed to be like so-and-so. But, it really just pays to be yourself. And I think that is exactly what people need. So, life lesson number 5, be yourself. It will always serve you. Chantal says, that's the only way to be. Yes. Come on in. Hey, everyone. We're just talking about all the things that I learned from this event that I put on over the weekend. All right. So point number 6, there will always be doubt, and there will always be challenges, right? I have heard other people who put on events all the time. They always talk about the challenges that happen behind the scenes, the things that are not working. If you listen to any bride talk about their wedding day, they will probably tell you that such and such were the things that happened behind the scenes. But as a guest, you would never be able to tell, because everything looked so cool and calm on the surface, right? I remember actually, and multiple years ago, when I was getting married, we had picked up the dress, the shoes, the veil, the tiara, all the things, right? I don't even know if people wear tiaras anymore. That was a long time ago. Anyway, as I was just getting ready to walk down the aisle, my mom was going to walk me down the aisle, and the music was getting ready to start. I was just about to put my first foot forward, and she looked at me and she said, "Where's your veil?" And I was like, oh, it's on the bed. And she's like, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, "Well, too late now. Let's go." right? Things will always happen. And no one really, asked me what happened to it or where is it or how come you got married without a veil. People just never noticed because I never made it a thing. And so when you're planning an event, when I was planning this event, things happened. Things happened that I did not expect. And I just kept rolling with it, right? Things happened. One of the things that happened, I was expecting a larger number of people to be in attendance, and less people were in attendance. And I was really, really, really bothered by that. And I had to just say, you know what? The show must go on. And one of my good friends who was actually at the event, I was, lamenting to her, and she was like, no, don't say that, because the number of people who are supposed to be there will be there, and it's going to work out just fine. Natalie said, I wore my bed slippers to my wedding because they were so comfortable. That's awesome. I don't put that past you at all. And I bet you had a grand time, right? Yeah, you just have to make sense out of nonsense. You have to just move forward with the things that you've got, right? When I got to the event, the venue was right next to a hotel. And the hotel, when I called them, I asked for an early check-in so my makeup artist could come and do my makeup. I could get dressed, I could get styled and everything, and then waltz into the room. And they said, sure, no problem. When I got there, the makeup artist, who was also pulling in at the same time, I walked over to the hotel and they said, I got there at like 11 o'clock and they said, I'm sorry, the hotel is full. We won't have a room for you until 1 o'clock. In the meantime, hey, Teresa. Oh, I feel nervous talking about events in front of you. The OG of event planning. The hotel said to me, the room will not be ready until 1 o'clock. And in the meantime, my event starts at 1:30 and my makeup artist was already there, right? So here I am, clothes in hand, makeup artist waiting for me to tell her where to go. And I've got no room. And I was really upset, but I couldn't tell off the hotel people. So I walked over to the venue and I said to the manager in the space, I said, I have an event happening here at 1:30. There are people who are coming. I need to get ready. I have a makeup artist that's ready for me and I need a place to go because my space over at the hotel is not ready. This is how much we are spending in your location. Please give me a space to go. And they said, okay, ma'am. And they found, they do weddings there often. And so they have what they call bridal change rooms. And so they gave me a key to a space where I could get changed, where the makeup artist could come and set up her stuff and make me look pretty. And it worked out just fine. So, I say to you that things will happen. You will have setbacks. Things will happen unexpectedly, but it's okay. When I got to the venue, I had my computer. I was planning to, the plan is to live stream to people who could not be in physical attendance. And I got there and the Wi-Fi to the venue would not work. We're there, people are walking in, and I am feverishly like, if, I could have been sweating buckets, I wasn't, but, it felt like I was sweating buckets because I could not, people were waiting to log on to Zoom so we could get this thing going, and I could not get their Wi-Fi. He kept saying, we're gonna get someone to reset it, this and that and the other, and it just would not work. And my assistant just said to me, just hotspot it to your phone. And I did that, and it just worked, right? And so things will happen. Sometimes you'll have to think on your feet. Sometimes you'll have to, forget certain things or pick up certain things. Just keep going. And that's the last lesson that I have for you. Always see the thing through, right? There were times in this process, and I know it wasn't a big fancy event. It wasn't a glamorous 3-day conference or a fantastic wedding. It was my little event, but it was important to me. And there were times when I thought to myself, I don't feel like this is going to work. I've had to call my mentor. I had to call my coach because yes, I do have those people who speak into my life, and they were very encouraging. They're like, do this instead of that. Post this, don't post that. Get people to speak into your life, people who will encourage you, people who will boost you up, people who will give you advice, people who will, call you up on the morning of the event and say, girl, I hope it goes well. People who will send you messages throughout the time to say, keep going. That dream that you have, that vision that you have, that thing that you want to see it through. If I had thrown in the towel halfway through because people hadn't registered yet, then I would have missed out. Because at the end, people said to me, someone who had never met before, I had never interacted with her before on social media. She saw the postings for the event and she said, you know what? I'm coming to this thing. And she drove, I believe it was an hour from her home. She got to the event. And when she got there, halfway through the event, I was talking to other people and she came up to me and she said, I didn't know I needed this until I got here, right? If I'd thrown in the towel, I would have missed that. She would have missed that. I would have missed the opportunity to provide that for her, right? I had these what I call connection cards, right? They were branded on one side. On the other side, it had a grid for you to write down people's information, right? People were making referral partners. Oh, you see couples, I see children. Let me take your number down. You work for a school board? So do I. Let me write your email down. People were taking each other's information. I had one person, her card was full, and she was writing it down and writing people's information on other things, right? I had this idea of having a masseuse there to give hand massages, right? It might have seemed like it was out of left field, but when people got there, they just felt so thought of. They felt so special. One of my girlfriends, she said, oh, I felt like I was touched by an angel, right? The masseuse, the RMT, she just fit right in. And so we would have missed out on all of those things had I said, tickets aren't selling fast enough, let me just forget it. Had I said, such and such said they can't sponsor me, let me just forget it. Had I said, that person said, it's too late in the year to pull off an event like this. People who aren't vaccinated can't come, forget it. If I had listened to that, I would have missed out on this, right? And since the event, I cannot tell you how many people have come into my DMs saying, are you doing this again next year? Because next year I'm coming and I'm bringing 3 people. I missed it this year. I'm not missing it next year. Make sure it's longer. Are you making it all day instead of a couple of hours? Are you going to make it a whole weekend? Like now I'm bubbling over with ideas for next year, but none of these would have come if I didn't start now. I had this huge dream, this huge thing that I wanted to do, and I had to scale it back because we're in a pandemic. But everybody has to start small somewhere. See it through. See it through, see it through, see it through. All right, so just to recap, the 7 things that I learned in planning this event. Don't tell everybody your dream because some people will pee all over it because they do not have your dream. They do not have your vision. It was given to you. It is your dream. Treasure it, nurture it, take care of it like the baby like your baby, the baby that it is, right? Point number 2, let your inner compass guide you, right? Don't talk yourself out of it. Internally, you know exactly what it is that you want to do. Try and go after that thing. 3, ask for help, right? You'd be surprised who's willing to help you as long as you ask. Ask for help and let people help you. People are more than willing to help you. You cannot do this thing by yourself. I don't know if Teresa's on here, but check out Teresa Leigh Brown or the Leigh Event Group, LEIGH. Teresa has a massive team and she could probably pull things off by herself because she's that gifted, but she doesn't. She has a team and she uses her team and they pull off these phenomenal events. So, it doesn't even have to be event planning, but if you're doing something big, ask for help. People will help you. Next thing, it's okay to stray from your lane a little bit and do the things that scare you. That's how we grow. That's how you move to the next level. That's how you recognize other zones of giftedness that you probably didn't think that you had, right? Item number 5, be yourself, right? Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. You can, I realized that I would never be able to pull off an event like like Nicole Osaman. I would never be able to pull off an event like Natalie, like Teresa, like Colleen Blake Miller. I would never be able to pull off events like those people. But guess what? I can pull off an event like me. I can talk like myself. I can be myself. I can walk in my shoes. Speaking of shoes, by the end of the event, my shoes were off because my dogs were barking and I walked around without my shoes. And that was okay because that's just how I roll, right? And it was an event that was intimate enough that allowed for that, right? Just be yourself. Everybody wants you. They don't want a version of you trying to be somebody else. That's how you're going to lose people. Point number 6, lesson number 6, there are always going to be challenges. There's always going to be doubts, but that's okay. That's just how life is. And sometimes we just got to roll with the punches. Don't let the doubts and don't let the challenges and don't let the obstacles completely derail your plan. And lesson number 7, see things through. Even though there are obstacles, see the things through. Even though, things go sideways sometimes, see the things through. Ask for help, get advice, follow your internal compass, and see the things through. Teresa, listen, I cannot tell you how amazing I feel that you are even here listening to me talk right now because Teresa is the queen of events, let me tell you. She knows how to do the thing right. And when Teresa has a live, Roxanne pays attention because I know that she always drops the gems. And I will never be able to do an event like Teresa because Teresa does it like Teresa and I do it like me. And she might be serving a different clientele and I'm serving a different clientele. But I can always, get advice from her. I can garner wisdom from her. It's okay to look at how someone else did something and go, oh, that was a really good idea. I'll tell you one thing. Having the person come in to do the hand massages, that was not an idea that I came up with on my own. I went to an event a year before this pandemic hit. And it was also a networking event. And there were people there. There were 2 women there from a company, a skincare company. And they were doing hand massages. And I got a hand massage and I was like, man, this feels so good. And I've never forgotten that. Because the only other time I get a hand massage is when I go get my nails done, right? Because I just don't take the time for that. And I know that if I don't take the time for that, I know that there are other therapists out there who probably don't take the time to go, I'm going to get myself a hand massage this Friday afternoon, right? And so I thought that was a beautiful touch there. So I'm going to see if I can get someone to do hand massages at my event. It's okay to see the things that other people are doing and take cues from that. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel, but still be your authentic self. Those were my 7 life lessons that I learned from planning this event. And my goal is to plan another one next year. I've already sent out evaluation forms and the feedback is coming through. And the biggest thing that people have had to tell me is that it was too short. So I'm already planning for next time around. Teresa, I might even hit you up for a little bit of advice, but don't worry, I'm catching all of the crumbs that you leave on social media. Thank you so much for all of the support that you guys have given me, for all of the encouragement that you've given me. And I look forward to continuing to serve other therapists in this space. And, if you are in the therapy space and you need support, do not hesitate to hit me up. You can just jump into my DMs. I am more than happy to support you. And I'm looking forward to planning another therapist lounge next year at around summer/fall. Keep your eyes peeled and thank you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the encouragement. I cannot do this without any of you. You guys take care. Have yourself a wonderful evening. Join me here next Wednesday for more Afterthought, where we combine mental health and real life. You guys take care. Walk good.